Welcome to Hallar, the Firefletcher. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, I love it. We've got a good a +1 counter generator in Forgotten Ancient. And we also have Elfheim Druid in the hand, which is going to allow us to get down some of those kicker spells. And with Strionic Resonator, we're going to be able to copy those triggered abilities with Hallar. So let's see if our opponent wants to mulligan past 7 or not. And we're playing against... First to Suffer. I'm just going to go ahead and skip that first name. Let's go ahead and go for, I guess, the first play. Let's go ahead and go for Command Tower. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. We're playing Hallar, the Firefletcher. Hallar has trample. Whenever you cast a spell, if that spell is kicked, put a +1 counter on Hallar. Then Hallar deals damage equal to the number of +1 counters on it to each opponent. We draw into Tireless Tracker. Let's go ahead and get down Forest. Let's go ahead and go for Strion. Actually, let's go for Elfheim Druid. I kind of like that a little bit better. Let's go for Elfheim Druid. Get that down. We'll put us online for Hallar next turn. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. Playing its First to Suffer. It's going to be 5 converted mana cost. It's power and toughness to equal to the number of cards in your hand. Then for 1 black mana activation, sacrifice them. Let's go ahead and go for... We can get down Tireless Tracker to get an extra clue token in. I think I kind of like going for that one. Yeah, let's do that. Just in case our opponent has some spot removal, I want to get a little bit of extra value out of Tireless Tracker. Let's get the land drop down. Let's go for Rogue's Passage. Get that clue token onto the battlefield, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn. 1 black mana activation, sacrifice them. All creatures get -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. I love that art. It's kind of creepy looking. But yeah, so as far as Hallar goes, now we do have Opal Palace in the hand. In one of my previous videos, I did get down Opal Palace and used it to get down a +1 counter on Hallar. And I think currently Opal Palace is bugged on Hallar. So I still have it in the deck because, you know, just in case somebody comes across it. Do we want to get rid of Tireless Tracker or Elfheim? Let's go and get rid of Elfheim. Yeah, I think that's okay. Let's go and get rid of Elf. I'd like to leave the Tireless Tracker on the battlefield. That way we can get at least some sort of card draw going. Let's go ahead and get down Opal Palace, get that extra clue token. Let's go ahead and get down Gruul Signet. That's going to be 1-2. And then we can actually tap Rogue's Passage to add that mana to our mana pool and get down Hallar. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and go for Hallar. And let's go and push in with Tireless Tracker on this one. So coming across for 3 is going to put our opponent down to 27. And then anything else, we're going to go and kick the turn back over there. Now, next turn, we can actually go for Forgotten Ancient. That's going to put us, allow us to get down Strionic Resonator to get in an additional +1 counter on there. If we end up with enough mana, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll have 5 total mana. That's going to be 6. So once we get that down, we can actually start copying Forgotten Ancient's trigger. And that's going to allow us to start putting some good +1 counters onto Hallar. All right, discard an artifact or 2 cards. I guess at this point, we'll go and get rid of Strionic Resonator. Yeah, I'm okay. I'd like to hold on to a kicker spell, especially something that's a little bit cheaper for us. It looks like our opponent's a little bit strapped on mana. All right, let's go and get Misty Rainforest down. That'll be an additional clue token. Let's go ahead and go for Forgotten Ancient. Let's go ahead and go Forest, tap out on Gruul Signet. That's going to be Rogue's Passage, and then Opal Palace for 1 more. Get down Forgotten Ancient. Let's go and swing in for 6. Actually, it's going to put our opponent down to 21. And then anything else, now we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. So at this point right now, with our opponent having mana up, I think I like cracking Misty. With no mana up right now, I think I like cracking Misty. That way we can at least get the clue token on the battlefield. Let's say that we do want to crack a clue token to get an additional +1 counter on Tireless Tracker. They could actually, in response to that trigger, take care of Tireless Tracker. We won't get that extra +1 counter on there. Okay, anything else, kick it back over there. Now, as far as playing Hallar, I did release this deck on MTGO Traders, if you want their YouTube channel, if you want to check it out. It was a lot of fun recording with Hallar. In fact, I released it last Friday, so there's 3 gameplay videos over there. But one of the big things that you want to do with Hallar is somehow get a lot of +1 counters on it as quickly as possible. So cards like Forgotten Ancient go a really, really long way in the deck. And yeah, we're going to get the additional +1 counter. Yes, we're going to use that ability. And let's see who our opponent's going to target with Ravenous Chupacabra on this one. If they do end up choosing Hallar, okay, they're going to go for Tireless Tracker. Let's go ahead and crack a clue token in response. Not that it's going to matter, but still need to do it anyway. Put a +1 counter on that one. Draw an additional card. Draw into Windswept Heath, okay. And then kick it back over there. If we want to, we can go for Comet Storm on Ravenous Chupacabra. Let's go ahead and move the +1 counter onto Hallar. Yeah, we're going to click OK on that one. And then we draw into, Increasing Savagery. Let's go ahead and get the Windswept Heath down. Yeah, I like going for this. Going for Increasing Savagery on Hallar. That's going to be colorless, and then double green off that one. It's going to be an additional +1 counter on Forgotten Ancient. It's going to put those counters on Increasing Savagery. That's going to make it a 9/9. But Ravenous Chupacabra does not have Death Touch. So let's go and push in with Hallar. And we're going to push in with Forgotten Ancient. Maybe we can get in for an extra point of damage if our opponent's worried about some sort of pump spell off Forgotten Ancient. Okay, opponent's going to jump block our Forgotten Ancient. It's going to put them down to 12. That will be 12 total commander damage. And then anything else, we're going to go and kick the turn back over to our opponent. Now, with increasing Savagery out of the graveyard, we're looking at flashback of, there we go, flashback of about 7. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll have just enough mana to go for that next turn. That will put us in the range of, that's going to be 5 more counters on there. And that's going to make it 11 total counters. So we might be able to kind of push in for commander damage, depending on what our opponent ends up going for. Now, they do have Volrath Stronghold on the battlefield, so if they want to go for Fleshbag Marauder, maybe they can draw an additional card or something like that. We do have to watch out for Fleshbag, but with having those additional +1 counters on there and having Comet Storm in the hand, we might be able to close it out with some commander damage. But yeah, you know, it's playing Hallar, it's kind of one of those decks that I wouldn't consider it tier 1, but it's one of those really rewarding decks to play. You know, there's going to be some games to where you spend a lot of time getting a bunch of +1 counters on Hallar, and then you might be able to kind of close it out with a really good kicker spell or something like that. Yes, we're going to use that ability for sure. Alright, it's going to be a 5/5 on the battlefield. Let's go and crack Windswept Teeth on this one. And let's go and grab Sheltered, actually Cinderglade, 2 more basics. Sheltered Thicket's going to come into play tapped. Yeah, we'll go for Sheltered Thicket. And let's go and go, alright, opponent's going to scoop it up on this one, so I may end up posting this video on the back end of another Hallar video or something like that. But you can see we had increasing savagery coming out of the graveyard. We're going to be able to crack a clue token to draw into an additional card. And then we also had that Comet Storm coming down too. So we kind of had a couple different ways to kind of push in for commander win. Unfortunately, our opponent did get a little bit tight on lands for a little bit, but this is pretty much what you want to happen, is get those +1 counters going on Hallar. But if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Hallar, the Firefletcher. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, I think I like it. We have Kodama's Reach, Gruul Signet, we have Expedition Map in the hand, and Goblin Barrage. We have one of those, Goblin Barrage. We do have a cheap kicker spell with that one, so we'll go and keep on to this one. Here we're looking at Forest, and then let's go and get the Forest down. Let's go ahead and go for Expedition Map, and then anything else. No, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. We're playing Hallar, the Firefletcher. Trample. Whenever you cast a spell, if that spell was kicked, put a +1 counter on Hallar, the Firefletcher. Then it deals damage equal to the number of +1 counters on it to each opponent. Drawn to Lightning Greaves, that is actually really good against a mono black deck. Let's go and get Forest down. Let's go and go for Gruul Signet. Yeah, it's going to be 1/2, and we'll go and kick the turn back over there. Playing gets First to Suffer. The jury's still out on how to pronounce that first one. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. Then for 1 black mana activation, sacrifice it. All creatures get -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Yeah, -X. The X is kind of up there on that one. Opponent's going to go for Thoughtseize. See what they're going to take on this one. There's actually a lot of good stuff that they could take, so we'll be okay after this one. You know, argument could be made for Kodama's Reach. If they do end up taking Kodama's Reach, I was about to say we have Harmonize to kind of bounce back from that card draw. So opponent's going to go for a little bit more of an attrition-based selection off that Thoughtseize. So we draw to Mold Shambler. Let's go ahead and go for Kodama's Reach. I think that sounds good. Let's go and tap out for Forest. This is going to be Gruul Signet. We don't have a land to make for the turn, but with Kodama's Reach, we'll be able to get that going. Let's go ahead and grab double Mountain on this one. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let's go double Mountain. 1 Mountain's going to enter the battlefield. We'll be able to make a mountain for the land drop, and then we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. We cover with Commanders just free time. We can talk about whatever we want. That's going to be Hallar. Also with Hallar, I kind of wanted to highlight this one. Hallar uses they, them pronouns. That was something that they released on a kind of an informational card within the Dominaria packs. And I don't know, just kind of wanted to highlight that in some of our videos. I thought that was pretty cool. Let's go for Lightning Greaves. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go for Lightning Greaves. Let's go and get that down. We don't have a land drop for the turn, so we could go for an Expedition Map crack if we wanted to, and go for something like Yavimaya. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's do that instead, you know, because if we just end up tapping out for Lightning Greaves and our opponent has some spot removal, we're just going to be completely dead in the water. So let's go and grab Yavimaya Hollow. Let's go and get that down, and then anything else, we're going to pass the turn to our opponent. But yeah, so Hallar uses they, them pronouns. So I just wanted to highlight that in the video because I think it's cool that Wizards is starting to kind of include different things like that within the card. So yep, Hallar is they, them. Now, as far as next turn goes, we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we will be online for Yavimaya Hollow if we want to go for that that activation of regenerating Hallar. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let's go and do that. Let's go and go for Hallar. That was a good setup on that one. It's going to be 1-2, tap out on the Gruul Signet, and then tap out for one more. Let's go for Hallar. So what we can do is we can go for Lightning Greaves equip on the Hallar. If they have spot removal, we'll be able to regenerate in response to that. Now, it does kind of leave us open to some sort of sacrifice spell to our opponent, but at least at this point right now, we'll be in a good spot making sure that Hallar stays on the battlefield. Okay, let's go and push him for 3. It's going to knock our opponent down to 25, and that will be 3 total commander damage. Now, as far as kicker spells in the hand, we do have 2 kicker spells, actually 3 kicker spells. We can sacrifice an artifact to the Goblin Barrage with the Gruul Signet if we need to get that going. The only thing that we're really missing right now is some sort of amplifying +1 counter spell. So let's go ahead and go for... Actually, yeah, let's just go and leave up Yavimaya Hollow. I think I like that. We could go for Hardened Scales at this point right now, but once we get that down, we'll be able to go for Mold Shambler. Maybe we can pay that kicker cost and some sort of artifact our opponent gets on the battlefield, and they'll really kind of start to amplify out from there. Now, one of the downsides to running Lightning Greaves in this deck is we do have some spells that double the number of counters on target creature. Since Hallar does have Shroud, that's kind of going to shut us off on some of that stuff. So, but we'll at least try our best. It's going to get X, and we're X the number of cards in your hand. So if they want to go for that activation, they actually go for that, and that will get around Yavimaya Hollow. But let's see if we can't maybe kind of boost Hallar's power and toughness up just a little bit. Drawn to Taiga, okay. Let's go and get Taiga down. Let's go ahead and go for... Let's go and get down Hardened Scales. That's going to make it a 5. Yeah, because I think either way, we're looking at kicker of 4. We can go for Goblin Barrage, target creature. Let's go and get down Hardened Scales. Yeah, let's go and get that down. And what we can do is, if we want to, we can go for that damage on First to Suffer if we wanted to. I just don't think we have just enough mana to go for the Comet Storm and Goblin Barrage. Anything else that we're going to go for, we don't really want to swing into that one since it is a 6/6. That could be 1, 2, 3, 4... Yeah, let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. If our opponent wants to go for an activation, we'll still have enough mana, and we'll still have Yavimaya Hollows kind of back up. And then next turn, we'll kind of see what we want to roll out as far as getting that kicker cost up. But that is one way for us to kind of get around the First to Suffer's activated abilities. If we can get enough +1 counters on Hallar. And the stuff like Hardened Scales really kind of helps amplify that video. Now, I did release this series on MTGO Traders last Friday, so if you want to check it out, head on over there. It's on the YouTube channel. Had a lot of fun playing it. I will say this, if you're thinking about building Hallar, it's a really fun deck to pilot. There's kind of a lot of moving parts sometimes. You know, there's going to be some games to where you can't really get Hallar going, or, you know, like if we're playing against a mono black deck, they have a lot of removal. Opponent's going to go for Merciless Executioner. Yeah, let's go to get it on that one. What we can do is, if we end up going for Comet Storm, we just cast it for 3 on Merciless. Yeah, I think I like that. It's going to make them sacrifice their commander. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that one. So it's going to be double red and then 1 colorless. Click OK. So it's going to be 1 damage to Merciless Executioner. It's going to get rid of Merciless, and they'll still have that trigger on the stack. So we'll actually get a good reset on each of our commanders. Okay, that's going to take care of Merciless Executioner. Opponent's going to have to sacrifice their commander, send it back to the command zone. We're going to have to sacrifice Hallar, sending Hallar back to the command zone. Actually, our opponent did put their commander into the graveyard, so we'll see if they have some sort of reanimator spell, and they actually just dropped down a Coffers really quick, so that's going to turn them online for a pretty good chunk of mana. Luckily, we do have Mold Shambler in the hand, so we can actually kick that. Target player will choose a non-lane card from it. That player discards that card. Let's go ahead and reveal... Oh, they revealed their hand, so they're going to at least be able to take care of Mold Shambler, which is going to keep us off taking Coffers. So unfortunately, that would have been a good play to go for, but they did grab it on that one. And then they still have 3 mana left over, so let's see if they roll anything else out for the turn. All right, I'm going to kick the turn back over. See what we draw into. Draw into Scorching Lava. Let's go and go for Hallar. That's going to be 5 total mana. Let's tap out on Mountain, Gruul Signet, 3, 4. Let's go and get Lightning Greaves back onto Hallar. And let's go and push in for 3 on this one. That'll be 6 total commander damage, putting them back down to 22. And then anything else we'll go and pass turn to our opponent. Now, we do have Scorching Lava in the hand, so if they do get down some sort of creature, we'll at least have that 2 damage online if we end up going for that one. But what I was saying earlier is that Hallar kind of has a lot of moving parts. You know, if you're playing against a deck that has a lot of removal or kind of a control style deck, you're not really going to have a lot of fun. It's kind of one of those decks that, as long as you're playing against a 2/2 commander, it end up being a really interesting match, because one of the hard things about Hallar is a lot of these kicker spells have a really high kind of have a real high cost tied to it, so it's really hard to get those counters going. So when you get something like Hardened Scales on the battlefield or something like Forgotten Ancient, that really helps you amplify the number of tokens that you're going to be able to put onto Hallar. Excuse me, +1. I keep calling +1 counters tokens. It's really going to amplify the number of +1 counters that you can put on Hallar, and it's going to lead to some turns to where, let's say you have 5 or 6 counters on it on Hallar, and then you end up going for something like Goblin Barrage and Scorching Lava that have kind of cheap kicker costs. It's going to be a good way to kind of deal damage to our opponent. They did use Skeletal Scrying. That's going to knock them down to about 18 drawing those. They did draw into a bunch of cards off that one, though. But if we do draw into another creature or something like that, we can shift the Lightning Greaves around. That will put us online for Yavimaya Hollow, so we can kind of get around that one. But we'll see what our opponent's going to search up on this one. All right, they're going to kick the turn. All right, see what we're drawn to. Drawn to Tireless Tracker, but we have no land drop to make for the turn. Let's go ahead and push in for 3. Do you want to go for Scorching Lava at this point right now? We're looking at 1, 2, 3, and then actually be just enough to go for Goblin Barrage on this one. That's going to be 4 damage target player. Yeah, I don't mind getting a good chunk of damage in on this one. Let's go and do that. Let's go and go for Scorching Lava. That's going to be cast with Kicker. Let's go and tap 1 mountain, tap out on the Gruul Signet. Tap out for 1 more back. Let's go Scorching Lava with Red Kicker, choosing our opponent. That's going to be 1 more +1 counter on there. It's going to be put 2 counters on there, making it a 5/5. Puts them down to 14. And then let's go and go for... let's go ahead and push in for 5. That's going to knock them down to 9. Excuse me, I was thinking we could go for Goblin Barrage, but if we use the Kicker, we could direct that damage over there. But we have to have another creature on the battlefield. So what we can do next turn is get down Tireless Tracker. If they don't have some sort of spot removal, we get down Tireless Tracker and go for that Goblin Barrage on our opponent, dealing with that extra damage. It's going to be additional +1 counter, so it's going to be 3. And then 4 off Goblin Barrage, it's going to be additional 4, so that's going to be 7. So we'll kind of see what they roll out for the turn, but that's going to allow us to kind of push past on that one. Yeah, pause for a second because... I was thinking we could get that kicker cost going, but we have to have a target for the first one. Opponent's going to go for him to Turok. Yeah, that's fine. It's going to take care of it on that one. That does leave 5 mana left over, and let's see what else they're going to roll out for the turn. Opponent, their commander's back in the command zone. Now, they are sitting at 6 cards in the hand, so 1 activation is definitely going to take care of Hallar, especially with us having no spells in the hand. Now, if they pass the turn to us, and we have an instant speed kicker spell, we might be able to get some +1 counters going in response to an activation. Drawn to Bloodstained Mire. Okay, let's go to get down Bloodstained Mire, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. Yeah, we could swing in, but with that sitting at a 6/6, that's not going to be too good for us, so we're just going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yeah, this is kind of, end up with matches like this to where your opponent's really attacking your hand. They have some really good spot removal and stuff like that. It kind of makes it hard to get Hallar going, but it's a really fun commander to play. I cannot speak to this card enough. Oh my god, it's such a good card, but Solidarity of Heroes, that's one of those cards that you can double the number of +1 counters on Hallar, and it just makes for just you have some really, really explosive games. You'll be able to steal some games with it. We are running a very, very small kind of fling package in here. That's also fun to kind of get that stuff going. All right, drawn to a forest. Not exactly what we wanted. I guess if our opponent's going to leave it open, we're probably looking at a activation. Let's go and push in for 5. We'll still hold on to the force. We may get it in on the back end or something like that, but if they're going to attack him with their commander, we'll at least swing in for 5 and kind of force some sort of activation from our opponent. Okay, opponent's going to go for an activation off their commander. That will take care of Hallar. We'll go ahead and get down the force. Let's get Hallar pop back up. Let's go and cast Hallar. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, we'll have just enough for that one. And let's do this. Let's go ahead and get the force down first. Let's go ahead and go for Bloodstained Mire. And just to have another dual source on the battlefield, actually, we don't have to shock one in. We can grab the 1 dual source that's going to come into Cinderglade. Yeah, I can grab Cinderglade. Let's go and tap out for Firefletcher. Tap out for Hallar. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that'll still give us just enough mana to go for Yavimaya Hollow, just in case they do have some more spot removal in response to a Lightning Greaves equip. There we go. Get Lightning Greaves on there. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass it to our opponent. But yeah, we do have Fling in here. There's another card in here. I cannot remember, but it's 3 converted mana cost. And that one is, it's going to deal damage equal to its power, where you do not have to sacrifice Hallar. So that's another good thing for us to go for. Opponent's going to go for Corpse Dance. Return target creature card. Gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. All right, so we are in our end step, so that we'll have to get rid of it next turn, but they can go for an activation if they want to. Now, this will send Hallar back to the command zone again, putting it up all the way to about 9 mana. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll have just enough to tap out for Hallar if they don't have another piece of spot removal or something like that. But at this point right now, with us having no cards in the hand, it is not looking so hot. So we'll see what we can kind of come up with. Opponent's going to go for Bojuka Bog, hitting our graveyard. And they're going to go for a Burnished Heart activation. Now, if you're thinking about building Hallar, another thing that you could definitely go with Hallar, since it does have trample and it's really easy to get +1 counters on it, is you can kind of go for a Voltron build. You know, something like Sword of Feast and Famine or Sword of Fire and Ice, just to kind of get those extra triggers coming across, dealing that extra damage to your opponent. Really good way to kind of put some pressure on them. All right, drawn to Breath. So it's going to have Kicker 2, 4 damage to each creature and without flying in each player instead. Do we just simply just tap out for a Kicker spell? It's going to, with Hallar being 9 total mana, yeah, we're looking at 9 mana. I'm almost tempted to just go and go for Breath on this one. See if our opponent has any sort of life gain. Maybe we can kind of burn this one out if we get lucky with some top decks. 1, 2. That's going to be 4 damage to each player. That's going to knock them down to 5. Now, we already did have Comet Storm. Yeah, Comet Storm exiled. So I'm trying to remember if we have any more X burn spells. We do have a few more burn spells that do have a kicker activation in here. I think the new one from Dominaria is another one that deals 4 or 5 damage, so we can kind of get that going. But we'll see what's going to happen on that one. With Corp Dance, they're going to be able to keep paying that buyback. Is that correct? Let me get that pulled up. Yeah, if they have that buyback, they're going to be able to keep bringing creatures back to the battlefield. So that may be our best bet to closing this one out, is getting some sort of direct damage done to our opponent. Okay, opponent's going to get the commander deck out of the graveyard, and they're also going to bring back One-Eyed, so they're going to be able to bring back anything they want. They can go for something like Skeletal Scrying or Increasing Ambition. So they'll be swinging in for 7. That will knock us down to 12, and let's see what we rip into for next turn. Okay, let's see what we draw into. They did draw into Primordial Hydra. That's going to be, let's see. Now, if they have some sort of spot removal, they'll definitely be able to take care of Primordial Hydra, but that was a pretty good draw on that one. They're sitting at, I think if we do this, let's do this. Let's go for Primordial Hydra. That's going to be 1, 2. Let's go and tap out for Gruul Signet first. Yeah, let's get the double green going, because we do have Lightning Greaves on the battlefield. So we can tap out for at least 5. It's going to be Primordial Hydra. 1, 2, double green. And that's going to put us at 5. Now, if we end up regenerating, that'll put us at exact... Yeah, we're going to leave that one up. We're going to click OK on this one. It's going to enter the battlefield double +1 counters on it thanks to Hardened Scales. It's going to go for Lightning Greaves onto Primordial Hydra. Excuse me, it didn't double off Hardened Scales, but it still is sitting at a 6. All right, let's go and push it on this one. Click OK. See if this is going to be good or not. They'll have to have some sort of way to deal with Lightning Greaves, or maybe they can go for... I'm not sure if Corpse Dance was instant speed interaction or not, but if at least we're going to be able to swing it for 6, we might be able to kind of close this one out. Talk about a good top deck. All right, no, excuse me, yes, Corp Deck is instant speed. All right, you'll be able to return that creature back to the battlefield. Bring back One-Eye. They're going to chump block on that one. Now, if we can survive until next turn, that's going to be a card draw. Thankfully, we're at least going to be able to kind of get around the activation off our opponent's commander, giving it -X until end of turn. It's going to double the number of +1 counters on Primordial Hydra. Thanks to Hardened Scales, it's going to double those too. And once we get into that range, we're going to have at least 10 or more +1 counters on it. But we'll see what our opponent's going to go for with this Corpse Buyback. Okay, their opponent did go for an activation off their commander, taking care of Primordial Hydra. Yeah, whenever we drew into it, I was thinking that it would double Hardened Scales, but since it enters the battlefield with those +1 counters on it, I guess it didn't work with Hardened Scales in the way that I thought it would work for. Our opponent did bring back Increasing Ambition back to the hand, so we'll be able to tutor up another card, but at this point right now, I think our only out is drawing into some sort of burn spell, so hopefully we can get lucky with another top deck. Now, with Primordial Hydra, one of the main reasons it's in the deck is because that's one of my favorite cards getting into Commander, not getting into Commander, when I first got into Magic. Let's go and get Mountain down. Yeah, let's go and go for Hallar. They still have Corpse to go for... And they're simply going to be able to go for another activation. I guess at this point, we'll just go and pass the turn. Yeah, because they'll go for Hallar, they'll go for that Corpse Dance, they'll be able to bring another creature back, they'll be able to go for the One-Eyed activation, bringing back Increasing Ambition. They're going to be able to keep kind of grabbing whatever they want off this one. So it's going to be really hard for us to even get some sort of +1 counters going on Hallar. Yeah, let's just go and pass the turn. You know, all we're going to do is pretty much just get the commander attacks up at this point right now. So we'll keep our fingers crossed if we draw into another top deck or something like that. Okay, our opponent does search up with Erebos, which is going to give their commander a lifelink, knocking us down to 4, and also kind of getting us out of the commander damage win. All right, so I'm going to go back up to 20, see what else they're going to roll out for the turn. And they're going to go and pass the turn. See what we draw into? Draw into Faithless Looting. Either way, we're going to have to discard some of these cards, but them having Diamond Volley on the battlefield and that lifelink, and us sitting at 4, they're going to be able to get this one. So good game to our opponent. Going with that one out there. We're going to scoop it up. That way we save them a combat step. But yeah, you can see where, you know, playing against a control style deck like our opponents, where they're going to be able to keep getting Hallar off the battlefield. It's going to be really hard to get anything going. We did draw into a lot of good stuff. We had a really good board state developed, but unfortunately we could not keep Hallar on the battlefield, which did not let us win. But anyways, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.